Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about something that you've probably already heard about, and that is Apple slowing down older iPhones. It's something that they've been accused of for a very long time, saying that they slow down your phone so much that it becomes so frustrating to use that you have to buy a new one. It's normal for a phone to slow down a bit as new software updates come out with features that are meant for faster and newer devices, but what's not normal is phones becoming so slow after only 1 or 2 years that you can barely use them. Most people buy a new phone within 2 years or so anyway, but if their old phone wasn't so slow, they probably would last a lot longer. A lot of people started to wonder if it was just a coincidence that their phones started to seem a lot slower right as the new iPhone was released every September. You can see from this graph that Google searches for iPhone running slow seem to peak every year right around September when the new iPhone is released. As it turns out, this is not a coincidence. Apple is slowing down the CPUs in their older iPhones. The specific models are the 6 and the 6 Plus, the SE, the 6S and the 6S Plus, the 7 and the 7 Plus. Now the 7 and 7 Plus are only just over a year old. They really shouldn't be slowed down already. But it's really not as bad as the headlines make it seem. I want to make it clear that they are not slowing down your phone just to make you buy a new one. They actually have some pretty solid reasoning for doing it. As it turns out, it's all related to the lifespan of your battery. The lithium-ion battery inside of your iPhone can only be recharged so many times before it starts to wear out and not last as long. Apple estimates this number to be about 400 full charges or 2 years of use. After this point, they say your phone's battery should still be able to hold 80% of its charge. So that means when you go to charge your phone, the maximum charge that it can hold is 80% of the battery. Also, as it hits this point, the battery can't deliver power to the other parts of the phone as well as it should be. So if you're using your phone for a really demanding task, like running several apps at a time and switching between them, your processor needs to run at full speed, at the maximum speed that it can. And the battery can't keep up with the power surge that it needs. So your processor needs a certain amount of power to do all these tasks, and the battery can't deliver all that power, so it simply shuts off. You may remember back in February of 2017 when there were reports of older iPhones, the 6 and the 6S, simply shutting down randomly when they got to low battery, but not like completely out. It was maybe at 30% and then people's phones would just shut down. So Apple responded to this by releasing iOS 10.2.1, which they claimed would fix the problem, and for most people it did. But they never really explained to us what they did to fix the problem. We now know, almost a full year later, that they implemented a feature, I guess you could call it, in iOS that lowers the clock speeds of their CPUs so that it doesn't draw as much power from the battery. So your phone is not running at full speed. And so that's why your phone may seem like it's running slow, because it actually is running slower than the maximum speed that it can. The problem with this, and the reason for all the outrage, is that they didn't tell their customers what they were doing. So they did this all behind the scenes without any communication or transparency, and they didn't tell iPhone owners at all what they were doing. And they misled their customers to believe that their phones were still running at full speed when they really weren't. And the response from Apple so far has been to admit that they did it and apologize for it. And as part of the apology, they've reduced the price on their battery replacements. So instead of it normally being $80, you can get it for $30, and that's for anybody who owns one of these affected phones. And my phone actually happens to be one of those affected phones. I have an iPhone 6. So to show you that my phone isn't running at full speed, I ran some benchmarks, and if we take a look at Geekbench, the iPhone 6 is supposed to get 1400 about on the single core score and just over 2300 on the multi-core score. And if you take a look at the scores that I got when I ran the test, I ran it a couple times, they were all drastically below what they should be. On the multi-core score, I got almost 1,000 points lower than I should have gotten. And I understand that there's some room for error, but these results are clearly outside of the margin of error. And to illustrate this even further, if we take a look at the clock speed on my CPU, it's running at only 600 megahertz, and it should be running at 1.4 gigahertz, so it's running at less than half the speed that it's capable of. So when Apple says that yes, they slowed down your phone, this isn't just we slowed it down a little bit. They're slowing it down like a major amount. This is less than half of what it should be running at. And at this point, the iPhone 6 has been out for 3 years, and I've only had mine for 2. But it really shouldn't be slowed down that much after only this amount of time. I also took a look at some of the statistics about the battery inside my phone, and if I use this app called Battery Life Doctor, you can get it in the App Store, it's free. And if you go into battery raw data, you can see exactly how much storage your battery still has. You'll see that my phone can still hold 1600 milliamp hours out of a possible 1810. And that's 88% of its lifespan left, which is actually better than Apple's estimates. So there's no reason that my phone should be this slow, because it's actually better than what Apple thought it would be. They said that after 2 years, it should be at 80%, and I've had my phone for about 2 years, and I have 88% of my battery left. So really, I don't see why I should be getting these random shutdowns that I am getting. So since my phone qualifies for the reduced pricing, I made an appointment on the apple.com, and I'm going to take my phone in and have them replace the battery and see if that'll fix my issues.
Two hours later.
Hi, what are we doing? I was getting my battery replaced, and it said to come back right about now.
Okay. All right, go ahead and enter your PIN number. All right, you're all set.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Have a good night.
Okay, so I've had the new battery in my phone for more than 24 hours now, and I've noticed two major things. One is that the random restarts and shutdowns are not gone. I've actually had it happen twice in the past day. I don't know why that problem wasn't fixed, but time will tell if that continues. As of right now, the problem is not gone. But the second thing I noticed is that my phone is actually much faster, and performance is definitely better than when it was before when I had the old battery in there. And just to kind of show you that the battery actually was replaced, if we look at that battery app again, you can see that my phone can now charge the full capacity of the new battery that's in there. So instead of being at 88%, I can now charge to the full 1810 milliamp hours of battery that it can hold. If you take a look at the clock speed of the processor, you can see that it's now running at full speed at 1.4 gigahertz, which is the maximum speed that it can run at. So my phone is now running at more than double the speed of what it was before with the old battery. And I went ahead and ran Geekbench with the new battery in there, and the scores were actually double what I had before, so that's double the performance from the old battery. And actually, the scores that I got were even better than what they say you should be getting on the Geekbench website for my phone. So the numbers show that my phone actually is running faster, but will you notice it in real-world performance? And from my initial impressions, that answer is definitely yes. Apps will open quicker. I've noticed where my phone used to slow down, like, for example, switching between keyboards and typing. There would be a lag between when I would press on the keys to type and when it would actually show up on the screen. And that doesn't even happen anymore. And that was one of the most annoying things about my phone being so slow, is that I would type words out and it would take them a few seconds to show on the screen. And that problem is gone, which is great. So the key thing to take away from this is putting a new battery in your old iPhone will increase the performance, and it'll be noticeable too. So I think you should take advantage of this offer. Apple's only offering it until the end of 2018, so you've definitely got plenty of time. And if you don't want to do it through Apple for some reason, you could do it yourself, or you could have like a third-party shop do it. I wouldn't recommend doing it yourself. It's pretty complicated. There are tutorials online, but it's a pretty hard process. And not to mention, if you do open up your phone, it's no longer covered under Apple's warranty. So there you go, guys. There's some pretty tangible evidence that swapping out the battery in your phone will increase your performance on your old iPhone, and then you probably won't even need to buy a new one. So it'll really extend the life of your phone, because if you were considering buying a new one just because your old one, it may be working in good condition, but it's running really slow, if you put a new battery in there, it's like a brand new phone. It'll really restore your phone to its former glory when you first got it. It'll feel like a brand new phone. That's what it feels like to me. It feels like a brand new phone fresh out of the box. Alrighty, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and feel free to subscribe and come back for new videos pretty soon.